Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Lino Beats, and today we're going to be doing some drum programming. It's going to be a really fun lesson, and we're going to try to go for more of a feel kind of thing when it comes to doing this drum programming. And I know you think that's crazy. We're programming drums, how could there be a feel to it? Trust me when I say you're going to have a feel for it. It's going to come out to your production, and you're going to be great for it. So let's get into it. Here I have my Ableton Live set up. I just have this loop that I created and sound designed. Don't worry guys, we will be getting into that. For now, I just want you to find a loop that speaks with you and we'll go from there. So I'll just play it for you to show you what it sounds like. So that's what we're working with today. I think it's pretty cool. You don't have to. Art's in the eye of the beholder, so it is what it is. So to start things off, we're going to want to create some MIDI tracks. So to do that, we go Control, Shift, and then T. That creates our MIDI track. And what a MIDI track is basically, it's a device that allows you to play the sounds that you're going to be loading up into it. And the sounds we're going to be loading up into it are the drum kit sounds, so like the kick, the snare, etc. So to do this, you're going to need an instrument that can produce the sound. And what that is a sampler, or you can use the simpler, and we're going to be touching on some drum racks too. But for now, I want you just to do some sampler, and I'll explain the reason why we're going with the sampler. So we're going to duplicate it by going Control D, and we'll make a few copies of that. So we're going with the sampler over the simpler simply because you get better control over what you want to do with the sounds. And it's not going to make too much sense right now as it is, but later on when you go watch my other videos, like and subscribe by the way, almost forgot about that. You're going to see it's going to make more sense. So just trust me on this. You're going to want to use the sampler. But you're not totally wrong to use the simpler either. So you're going to pick the drum kit that you're using. You can use multiple drum kits for different sounds. It's whatever you want to do. It's your beat. So we're first going to touch the volume velocity and put that all the way up because we will be touching with velocity a little bit later on. So to begin with, I'm going to see what sounds good with. So we're going to go element by element. So I want to see what snare first sounds good with the sample I have. So let's play it and we'll preview the sounds going with it. So 3 sounded pretty good, but so did 1. I don't know. You can't go wrong. It depends what kind of. I see, like, they create a different vibe to it. But I think for what I want to go for, I'm going to go with 3. You guys can go with whatever you want. It's your beat. You got to make it. As long as it fits with the sample, it's got to sound right. Sound selection is 50% of the battle. The rest is just these minor details that we will get into later on in the course, or the channel rather. And yeah. So for the snare, one thing that's important to note with the snare is that it's very dependent, it's very consistent, and it's very dependent on your BPM. So that's right here. BPM is basically how fast your song goes. So if I were to put this up to like 140, it's going to sound ridiculous. See, that sounded ridiculous, but it was faster than 92 because the sample was made in 92. So if you do stuff around 92, like if you do like 96, it still works. It still works. But I just think it has a nice bounce to it when we go 92. So because we're working with 92, we're going to go on the 1.2, the 1.4, and so on and so on. So we'll go here. And then we'll just Control D to duplicate the rest, and we'll pull up the velocities. The velocities are basically just how loud the sound is. And for a snare, we're not going to change the velocity because we want it to be something consistent that the rapper or the listener can rely on consistently throughout the beat. So if we listen to that with the beat, that sounds like a typical song, right? That could be an intro to the song. Who knows? Arrangement's another thing we're going to be getting into in this channel, just not yet. So we're going with the bare basics. That's how you would do it. And if it was, say if it was like around 160 BPM, which you will have some samples that are like that high, the snare would be a little bit different. And we'll get into that in a later video, but for now, let's work with the 92 that we're getting with. So with that, we can now move on to the kick. And what's important to note with the kick, or just any element in the drums really, is that the elements need to play off of each other. Now I'll repeat that. That is the most important thing I want you to take from this video. The elements play off of each other. And what that means is that they have all a different frequency to them. And some frequencies do not sound good together. They don't. They may be really hard on their own, but together they just don't produce a good result. So you're going to want to play the beat again and understand, or try to think about which one would sound nice on it. So we're going to play the beat and then sample each selection. So I got lucky. I don't know, guys. I'm getting lucky today. The first try, I get the right one. It usually takes me 20 to 30 minutes to get the right sounds. But number one, that sounds pretty good to me. Now, we're going to pull down the velocity again, because we're going to make it audible. And so with this, you're going to want to start with a foundation of having it on the first beat. And it gives it that punch that you want when the beat drops and everything. That's just what you're going to want to do to start off with. Later on, you might want to experiment, but if you're a beginner, I strongly recommend you just start with this. So with that, we have, and that was really low because we did not adjust our volume velocity. So for now, I want you guys to kind of beatbox in your head what kicks would sound good and which places. And remember, they're playing off the snare that's hitting right here. Okay, so we're going to want to have something before it, like right before it, or a bar before it, like not a bar, a square before it, or a square after, or two squares after, because it creates that bounce that makes it really nice. So I'm going to play it once and try to beatbox in your head or out loud, whatever you feel comfortable with, to see what works. So with that, it sounds really nice, I think, over here. That goes boom, chick, boom, ba-boom. So I hear a ba-boom there. So guys, you'll get better with understanding where things should go. Just try to experiment with the kicks, and really with all the elements, but just know that they should play off of each other or lead into each other. So here, this one is leading after the snare that hits right here. It's one block there. It's leading after, and I'll show you. But we could also put it right after it like that. Maybe that's a good result, but let's listen to here. Your ears will tell the truth. I promise you. So that works too, but I don't know. I kind of like this. That's just who I am as a musician. You guys do what you're comfortable with. So after that, I hear one over here. And I think that'd be good. Let me listen one more time. I feel like we could do another one like that. Repetition is very key when you're doing this stuff, guys. Rappers, listeners, they want something they can rely on. They don't want these constant switch ups, even though it's nice to do switch ups every now and then. For the majority of the cases, you're going to want to keep it consistent, then play around with changing things up. Again, we'll go over that later on in the channel. For now, just trust me, keep it simple. You're going to want to keep it simple because the rapper needs pockets to actually fit his voice in, or her voice, in doing whatever they want to do. So if they have constant kicks just going everywhere, it's just pure madness and you can't rap over it. It's just the fact of the matter. It might have a nice flow to it by itself without a rapper, but with one, it just doesn't make sense. And we want to make it all fluently go together. You want to make music that other people want to jump on and produce with you. So keep it stupid simple, but not stupid. We're changing the narrative here. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, yet effective. So we're going to just duplicate, and then for the last bar, we like to change it up a bit. You can get creative with this. For me, I just like doing a simple little something like that, and then when I arrange the beat, I can change it to my liking. But for now, let's hear it out. Hey, yo, that's sounding good. Guys, just wait till we actually get into processing these drums. That's going to be in later videos, but so please like and subscribe. You're not going to want to miss them. We're keeping it simple today though. So we're going to go, let's do some percussion now. Yes, I'm feeling some percussion. So for percussion, that's where we get into the sorry about that. That's where we get into the drum rack. So the drum rack, we're going to want to go to instruments and then drag it over. And then from there, we're going to find some percussion elements that speak to us and would sound good on the beat. I'm going to skip this part just for sake of time, and so I'll meet you guys back. Okay, so now that I found my percussion, I'll just play them out for you. Actually, I'll go in this view. Control Shift M to open up that view. And we're just going to play the sounds real quick. So those are what we're working with. And now we're going to want to fill in the pockets that the kick and the snare didn't fill out. So what do we know? We know that we have a snare here, here, and then so on, so on. And we also know at the beginning we have a kick here and here. So what does that mean? That means we have these two bars to work with. We also have this bar to work with for this beginning part. So let's fill it out and see what works. So that works. So we can go with that, and let's continue it. Fill out the pockets. Go back and see which can play off of each other. So So I feel like that fills out the pockets very well. You guys might have something different. You most likely do have something different, but the thing about beats is that we all hear something different, and it's how we want to portray what we're feeling. So my strongest recommendation is just find sounds that work with the beat or work with the sample that you're using or the synths that you laid out, whatever it is, and just play around with it and fill out those little pockets that the kick and the snare are not filling out. And again, keep it simple. We're just going to duplicate it. So that works with me. We can just go off of that. Now we're going to want to do some closed hi-hats. And guys, again, it might sound a little bad to you guys right now. I did no processing. That's how I work. I try to make it sound good without processing, so you know that when it gets processed, it sounds amazing. So that being said, things aren't leveled right now, so don't judge me based on that. I think it's still a good beat, but it's to each their own. So we're gonna do some closed hi-hats. So closed hi-hats are a very consistent theme, and they basically run the flow of the track. A lot of people will, their ears will kind of really grab onto them because they're so consistent, and they have sharp transients, which is just a sharp attack point, basically, is the basic way of explaining it to you for now. And so you've heard this in rap songs before. I guarantee you. I 100% guarantee. And we're just going to play the beat again and see what sound fits. So number 10 looks pretty good to me. So we're going to go with that. And we'll go with that. And I'm hearing, for sake of time, actually, I'm hearing a very basic hi-hat pattern. So literally just something like this. We'll kind of play with the velocity. That velocity, so we'll solo this, is just how loud it is. Very subtle. And I don't know if we adjusted. No, we did not. Very subtle, but you'll be able to hear. They have a different volume. And what's that going to do? That's going to add some bounce to the beat that you really want. So we're going to duplicate, Control D, and now listen to it. It's something that your ear can catch on to and flow with. I should probably take it off that mode. So that works fairly well. The percussion I'm not too crazy about. I might change that. So I ended up changing a little bit of the drum elements, and this is what I got with the percussion. So again, I was just taking, for sake of time, I just did it myself, did different arrangement with it, different elements. You're gonna spend some time on this, guys. It's just how it's gonna be. And especially if you're very particular about things, like, you're going to have to spend time on percussion, especially to get the right pockets. So let's listen to the beat now. So that sounds pretty good to me. Obviously, it's going to sound better once we get into other stuff that really makes the beat shine. But now the last element that you'll add is a pre-transient, and the pre-transient is something that leads into the hit of the snare. So what that does is that it gives it a little momentum to that peak of just snapping. And you'll just see it just hits so much harder when you add a pre-transient, which is the open hi-hat. So we're going to listen to the beat and find something, again, that fits. Number 5 sounds fire to me, so we're going to go with that. I'm not going to make this mistake again. Pull up the velocity here, and we're going to go drag the volume down. And then from there, now you're going to see the snare hits here, and the snare hits here, and then it continues again. You know this. So we're going to want to do the pre-transit either here or here. It's just based on preference. I tend to like it here. Gives it more of that slow build up into it. So I want you to listen to it without it and then with it, and just notice how hard this snare hits. So that was without. Now listen with. So I'll play it again. I'll play the first part without and the second part with, and you'll see it just hits so much harder. Did you notice that? I really hope you did. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. Your ear will eventually get to that point. So just be kind to yourself. We got a little bit of challenges with us, but nothing we can't overcome. And so I hear it there. You can even put it over here. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want. It's your beat. So for the sake of time, I'm going to end the video there. We're going to get so into detail with this stuff, guys and ladies. You're not going to believe it, what we're going to be able to do with this kind of stuff. I'm excited to get started with you guys, and this is going to be a fun ride.